Michael Oher Blindside story continues. We have, I assume that everybody knows what's happening right now. What you laughing at me?
I'm laughing at. I can't imagine two names in a story that are harder to pronounce than Michael Oher and
Tuohy. Yeah,
Tuohy, is that how you say it?
Michael Oher?
Well, I think the first time you saw it.
All right.
Yeah, Oher and Tuoy.
There's an H in there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's obviously Oher.
Add
Tuohy.
apostrophe, make it Irish.
Oher.
Well, they owe him, I mean.
Yeah, he surely thinks so. So the Tuohys made a statement yesterday, right, Jess?
Yeah, which I pulled up, and then everyone started screaming, so now I have to scroll down and
That's
find
all
We're
right.
testing mics because I've noticed in some clips that we put out there,
Spike Lee over here.
people peek.
Yeah.
Are we still peaking?
I have a headache. We have to stop.
Lehman.
And I got it from you guys testing mics.
That one actually peaked. So for whatever reason, you didn't get that loud the last time we peaked. So we're gonna have to
Peking duck.
DuckTales.
You're proud of that?
Yes.
Red tails.
Yeah. So they came out. So
Red pill.
What was the statement?
Red Grange.
what's their family name again?
The Tuohys.
Tuohys.
Yeah.
So the Tuohys.
I can recap what happened. So, like,
I have the statement now.
okay, there we go.
It's
Great
a-
filibuster, everybody.
This is from ESPN. It says their attorney, Martin Singer, said, in reality, the Tuohys opened their home to Mr. Oher, offered him structure, support, and most of all, unconditional love. They have consistently treated him like a son and one of their 3 children. His response was to threaten them, including saying that he would plan a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. And it was also described as a quote-unquote shakedown.
So yesterday when we talked about this, I was a lot more cautious about indicting the Tuohys in any way. The statement made it worse. Like, the statement made it worse. It leans into all the white savior trope things, and it makes it feel like Michael Oher owes them a debt of gratitude. Like, none of us were in this whole the whole experience that they had from the time they met him to the time that they're fighting with him now. However, what we can say quite clearly is that they all benefited from being near Michael Oher in a bunch of ways.
It is strange where what they're saying, not kind of saying, what they're saying is we gave him a home, we showered him with love, and in exchange we took advantage of him.
That's kind of what they're saying. It's kind of what they're saying. So it's a fair trade. He shouldn't be complaining about it now. So I feel like should be an open and shut case because all of the things that they're talking about are like connected to legal documents that can be found. If he was in a conservatorship, yeah, then they can find out whether that happened or not. And also like the contracts that they signed to sell the book rights and for the movie and the back end. Like there's disputes on how much they got, but ain't that in ink somewhere?
Well, there's actually a paper trail for a lot of the things going on over here as part of the alleged shakedown that the Tuohy family accuses Michael Oher of enacting. He refused to cash checks that they wrote for him because they weren't the sum that he was looking for. And also something that can be backed up, I'm sure, by documents is despite that, they claim that they deposited his equal share into a trust account that they set up for his son. So I'm sure that can be documented.
Yeah, so it seems like it should be easy. I'm not sure what all the confusion is about, but there's a couple different reports. Right now it seems like they're saying that the money that they received was $225,000 for each of their kids, and then 2% of the back-end profits from the movie, which the movie made $309 million and cost $29 million to make.
No, that sounds very benevolent, but if you're sending an unjust amount to Michael Oher and he's refusing to cash it because he thinks it's not fair, does it make it better that you're still sending that unfair sum of money to his son in a trust just to cover your tracks?
I think what we do know about this is that all the way to Hugh Freeze, Michael Lewis, the Tuohys, everyone has benefited. Nick Saban.
He was in the movie. Depose Nick Saban. Let's get him on the stand. I have a few questions for him.
Everyone has benefited from this, including Michael Oher in some way. I don't know that he benefited from the movie. Like, you don't draft players because, or Ozzie Newsome of all people is not going to draft somebody because he was in a movie. Michael Oher is a great football player.
He was already in the league when the movie came out.
Yes,
right, I know, but the story was out. The New York Times article was out. The book was out.
Yeah.
But Dominic, it's his story.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know.
There is no story without Michael Oher.
He wasn't in the pros when the book first came out. You mentioned people getting deposed potentially. One of the things that has come out about all of this, and I'm sure a lot of people view this film now in a different light, given what's happened. Some people maintain this very same light that they viewed it under at the same time, which is, how did she win that Oscar? Yeah. Come on. But one thing that we learned is Michael Lewis and Sean Tuohy were childhood friends.
Exactly.
Which
Dum dum dum.
Yeah.
You know what? This sounds like Moneyball of a certain variety.
And Hugh Freeze went from being a high school coach to embarrassed. Well, he's probably not embarrassed, but disgraced college coach. I almost said professional, which would have worked also. And I think that's the part that's incredibly
now.
Yeah. That's the part that's incredibly uncomfortable for me. Is it's obvious that one thing that's true about Michael Oher's story was he wasn't in a good situation. And he, like a lot of kids of many races, are in bad situations. He's one with a unique talent that they noticed when he entered this religious school, and they all seized on it. And I'm of two minds. Like, okay, you see a kid who has a special talent and you want to help him out, but it seems like it all ends up benefiting them. He goes to the school that they both graduated from, the Tuohys graduated from, and then Hugh Freeze works his way up from high school coach to to college coach, making lots of money. Then he makes lots of other really bad decisions, and it just all feels so gross. If it's a truly benevolent act, I'm not so sure that everyone needs to benefit from it. The Tuohys go on to give. On a speaking circuit, making money off that, releasing books. It just all feels so disgusting.
I'm going to tell you what. Like, I'm not even mad about going on a speaking circuit or whatever, but it's like, if you really cared about this kid and his gift.
Like your own kids.
Yeah, and you took him in, and then he went on and have a great career or whatever. Like, why is there a profit maximization on top of that, right? Beyond... hey, people want to talk to me. If they want to talk to me because it's a cool story, that's speaking engagement, that's cool. But it's like, hey, I'm going to sell the story. Hey, it's going to get optioned and be made into a movie. Hey, we're going to be friends with Sandy Bullock and all that. Like, that's the stuff that layering on top that's clearly exploitative. That's the part that kind of looks like, come on, is this good Christian values here? It's quote unquote, because that's what they always hide behind people like this. They hide behind like, this is good Christian values.
I did a deep dive on all their Instagrams when this stuff came out, and the oldest daughter is an influencer now. There's absolutely no way that she would be an influencer without this story. And the mom is a motivational speaker. Every single one, the son's in college football. Every single one of them have
They've all benefited,
like immensely.
Right.
Also, not a good account. Wasn't worth a follow.
But Dominic, you brought up a point earlier that I think is why this phenomenon exists in the first place, which is that it's a feel-good story for white people to really they really embody this like white savior. But the stereotypes in the movie, even when it came out, like I wasn't even like an adult yet, and I remember being like, this is like really reinforcing a lot of stereotypes. But I guess everyone loves this movie, so I should like it too. And it was like the son who's like 6 teaching him the rules of football with condiment bottles, like that sort of thing.
Or Sandra Bullock showing him. The dude was like already a D1 prospect.
Yeah, I think he was not an intellectually challenged person, which is what they portrayed him as, and that's why I think there should be a lot of heat on the Tuohys for this. I think there should be a lot of heat on whoever wrote the screenplay for the movie, whoever directed the movie, whoever saw the movie and produced the movie and was like, "Yep, this is great. We should definitely put this out there." But movies like this still get made today, so it's not like it's a thing that stopped happening after 2009.
And they're coming for Sandra Bullock's Oscar, of all things. Like, I mean, I don't care about that nearly as much. But, yeah, I was reading about the movie. I never watched the movie because I mentioned earlier I was on the team with Michael, and he said he hated the movie. So I was like, all right, I don't need to see it. And the reason he said why he hated it was like, they make me look stupid. And at the point I knew him, he's not stupid.
In a weird way, this is the Chris Cody theory. In a weird way, is this good for the movie? For the Blindside.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are going back and watching it now.
The Blindside is already, it's one of those movies that's on every flight that you will ever take. It's like Moneyball and The Blindside. Every single flight I've ever been on, that has been an in-flight movie option. For some reason, because there's, it's not an explicit movie. It's something that's quote-unquote family-friendly, and it's a feel-good story, but it really only makes white people feel good because they think they're doing some sort of charitable activity.
What did you do to end racism today? I watched The Blindside on my flight.
They did such a good thing.
You know what? Racism?
Problem solved.
Yeah. Over. You're done. The Tuohys have seen that. Also, the name Tuohy makes you think of Suey.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like Tuohys.
They rhyme.
What are the Tuohys?
When people say the Tuohys, I was like, oh, yeah, I won like 6 Tuohys that one year. I helped a black kid go to school, and then
the movie.
an award for ending racism for white people.
I think Bomani did like a racist movie award thing
Yeah.
on his show that
The Broskers, right?
Yeah,
Or
has,
Boskers,
yeah,
Broskers?
it's getting its run on the internet right now because he called out that movie before we come around to it. But reading about it, the racist scenes that you're talking about, there was one where I read he said they taught him how to use a bed. And the end of the movie is about the gang leader in the neighborhood that he grew up in, like making Leanne Tui feel sexually uncomfortable, and Michael like defends her, and it's like suggesting like on a trope that has caused a lot of people in the South to lose their life about like the oversexed Mandingo.
That's a very serious topic. I'm glad we're talking about it, but I want to go back to taught him how to use a bed. Was he like this? Is this how you do it?
I don't know. I didn't see the movie, but at a certain point in his life, he was homeless, and so they have to teach. I mean, this is the article I read said they had to teach him how to use a bed in the movie. It's just ridiculous.
He's like, all right, makes his bed. All right, ready for bedtime.
Lays on the floor.
I like this bed. It's just not comfortable. It feels really hard. I don't know why. Like I got all the pillows on it, but taught him how to use a bed. How dare you?
I saw a tweet from someone who works in the service industry in Memphis, and she was like, the Tuohys suck, and I hope they get what's coming. And I know they did it, because if you're mean to service workers, you did whatever you're accused of.
Allegedly.
Especially service workers on Twitter, because God knows nobody likes to make up a story.
The dad was a basketball player at Ole Miss, and I think he like does some sort of broadcast stuff in association with the Grizzlies. Like they're all heavily into sports, and like the name matters.
I mean, the thing is, no matter what the real story is here, the fact that this movie exists is the crime. Am I right? Like, we could argue over all of the finer points to it, but this was an abomination.
I'll let you slide, Jess, because I believe you, but there's a lot of people talking trash about this movie who freaking loved it when it was out.